come together, heart and soul, as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song. Come together, from different worlds we are drawn together. In our own way we can pray together. Together we are strong. Come together, dreams and hands we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are home.
And welcome to Unity in Lynnwood. My name is Reverend Nina Clark, and I'm the Associate Minister here. Shall we begin our time together with reflection and prayer? I'd like to open this morning with a brief story. Several years ago, I got the call from one of my father's acquaintances. Your father's not doing well, and you need to come see to him. My daughter and I flew to New York, and sure enough, it was time for him to have more support than what he had. Now, and you might be able to relate to this, have you ever had the experience of being so invested in the outcome of a situation that you have a real hard time taking your hands off of the proverbial steering wheel? Well, my dad was in the early stages of dementia, and he wanted to stay in New York, and he was not having any talk about moving to Washington. My moving to New York wasn't an option either. Oh, how tempting it was to grip that steering wheel and force the outcome to be the one that I wanted. But instead, I prayed. I stepped back from the outer circumstances and lifted my consciousness to a higher place. And from there, set an intention for a solution that would honor him rather than diminish him, that would leave him feeling like he had some say in his life, and that would allow me to continue on my path. And I felt peaceful after that prayer, and thought at first that the answer was to respect his wishes and let him stay in New York. And so I told him what was needed for him, what needed to happen for him to remain where he was, the support I would need to put in place, and what the trajectory would look like financially over time. And I began to make phone calls. And the last thing I said to him when I left his apartment that night for the hotel room was that in the morning we would purchase a printer to replace his broken one. And the next morning when I arrived, he wasn't dressed for our errand. And I told him that the friend who would be driving us would arrive soon to take us to town to pick up his printer. And my dad smiled and said he wouldn't need a printer where he was going. I was alarmed, and I asked why. And he grinned and said he wouldn't need a printer in Washington State. My dad willingly moved out a month later and spent the last 4 years of his life with me, my wife, and his grandkids, having many adventures, ferry rides, and theater, and even attended church here at Unity in Lynnwood. Taking my hands off the steering wheel allowed a higher, more loving path to unfold. Oh, and it unfolded with such ease and grace. I could have forced the same outcome, but I think our final 4 years wouldn't have held some of the joy that they did, and it wouldn't given my father the space to trust me with the decisions that I subsequently had to make on his behalf. Right now in the world, there are events transpiring that I'm sure make many of us want to grip that proverbial steering wheel so tight and force it, by golly, to go where we think it should go. But where are we vibrating from as we wrestle with that steering wheel? Fear, anger, hostility? What if instead we loosened our grip and turned inside to that place where we know we are all one and allowed the truth of that knowing, the significance of that knowing to wash over us, to fill us up, to lift us up to that place where the infinite field of possibility lies and where a new direction opens up. And when we place our hands back on the steering wheel, we are guided by a wisdom and a power and a love that knows a road that we have yet to travel on. I invite you to close your eyes with me and breathe. And as you breathe, following your breath to this moment, gather yourself from where you've left your attention in the past. Gather yourself from where you've left your attention in the future. Gather yourself until you are fully present in this moment. Let yourself be here fully, powerfully. And then allow yourself to just be aware of being, powerfully being. Become aware that you are being breathed by something that is much greater than you, and yet is also very much you. Know that you are one with an infinite wisdom, an infinite harmony, and that it is fully available to you just by being present and by being willing and listening. Whole self listening. Let your fear fall away. It is not needed. Let your resistance to what you might hear or come to know from this experience of oneness fall away. It is not needed. Surrender fully, totally to this moment without reservation, and allow all preconceived notions to fall away so that you are fully present to the wisdom that is here right now. Don't be afraid. Be here right now. You are safe. And from this place, set an intention for a new answer, an answer that lifts us all up, an answer that diminishes no one. And then let your hands come gently to rest on that proverbial steering wheel and allow the highest wisdom, the highest power, the highest love to guide you to a road that you have yet to travel on. Let this be so, and so it is.
I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family. Come together, dreams and hands we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are home.
To be here this morning, we have invited a small number of members from our community to join us physically today. What an honor to bask yet again in the nobility of your divine presence. I would say the same thing of you joining us virtually. My name is Dr. Richard Loren Held. Always, it is an honor, it's a pleasure to welcome you to this evolving, unfolding experiment of oneness and possibility, which we call Unity in Lynnwood. For those who have children. Please note that youth and family ministries gatherings are available to you as well. If you would like credentials for next week's events, simply contact that program's director. Her name is Stacy Bailey. We invite you to take advantage of the vehicles of support which we have fashioned for you. Of course, visit unityinlynnwood.org. You may know your leaders, your staff more deeply, read recent blogs, enjoy archived podcasts. You may enlist prayers, support, and even download brochures. You are invited to engage with UIL on the social media platforms of your choice. Download the Unity in Lynnwood app. It's free in both Android and Apple versions. Click on the Breeze link provided in your social media chat window. This will allow text reminders and notifications. That's already been wonderfully convenient for me. And as always, if you'd like to stay in touch through a couple email messages per month, and no, we would never share or sell your information. Yet again, just click on the link provided in your social media chat window. We will happily include you. It's also a great way simply to confirm that the information we have for you is current. And always, if we can assist you with any or all of the above, we stand at the eager ready to do so. Simply click or call. We would love to hear your voice. Practical spirituality, welcoming community, yet again, a mission statement so short on word, yet so broad in idea. And so it is that every week I like to support this mission statement with one of the 6 bullet points, one of the 6 values statements, which we developed in collaboration with your Board of Trustees beginning in late 2014. Take a deep breath. Does this belong to you? Today's reads as follows. We teach the unity of life, transcendent of culture, religion, or lack thereof. How about that? What an honor it was to join for a short time the Hands-on Housing 2020 team yesterday as they facilitated a one-day home makeover in Mount Lake Terrace. Look for the concluding video in upcoming weeks. Special thanks go to this team's leadership body and to everyone who so generously gave of hand and heart. One of my favorite services of the year is Thanksgiving Eve. It is indeed on the eve of Thanksgiving. Wednesday evening, November 25, 7:00 p.m., we invite you to submit a 30-second video of gratitude. It's as simple as that, words of gratitude. It is an annual ritual that is powerful, compelling. Use the file sharing service of your choice and send it directly to me. Finally, if you would like prayer support today, whether spoken or silent, we offer 2 vehicles. A link will appear at the end of today's service. By clicking that link, you will be taken into a Zoom room where a chaplain will meet you. If you find yourself in a waiting room, please be patient. The second option, if you would like to visit with someone by telephone, write prayer at unityinlynnwood.org right now. and an anonymous call will ring your phone upon conclusion of this service. Avail yourself to the amazing work of Unity in Lynnwood's prayer chaplains, please. At a time when many across this planet, and so many throughout our states, and now so many even in our nation's capital, including our president and First Lady themselves, navigate COVID-19. Take a deep breath with me. Close your outer eyes. Let us begin by calling upon the angels of highest wisdom, the angels of divine comfort, the angels of expanded possibility, to remind the entirety of humanity of the presence of their countless undeniable gifts, that we might come through this shared experience somehow more united, somehow more awakened, somehow more compassionate, somehow better, softer, kinder as a people. And so it is. And amen. So how could we embark upon a blessing of the animals Sunday without revisiting the quite amazing story of Saint Francis, whose quotes include, "Where there is charity and wisdom, there is neither fear nor ignorance. Where there is patience and humility, there is neither anger nor vexation. Where there is poverty and joy, there is neither greed nor avarice. Where there is peace and meditation, there is neither anxiety nor doubt." He said, "He who works with his hands is a laborer. He who works with his hands and his head is a craftsman. But he or she who works with her hands and her heart and her head, she's an artist." He said, "Start by doing what is necessary, then what is possible. Suddenly you are doing the impossible." He's also quoted as having said that the deeds you do may be the only sermon some people hear today. He said, "What you are looking for is what is looking." It was in 1912 that a prayer entitled A Beautiful Prayer to Say during the Mass appeared for the first time. This prayer was reprinted on the back of an image of Saint Francis in 1920 with the title Prayer for Peace. And so it was that a Disciples of Christ minister then attributed the text to Saint Francis of Assisi. It became popular during the Second World War and, of course, ultimately known as the prayer of Saint Francis, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are then born to eternal life.
Ada saja juga ada saja habis saja Nana kohosi be saja Ada sach, juga ada sach, habis sach, nana kohosi be sach. Ada sach, juga ada sach, habis sach, nana kohosi be sach. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born into eternal life. Ada saja juga ada saja habis saja nana kohosi be saja ada sach juga ada sach habis sach nana kohosi be sach. Ada sach, juga ada sach, habis sach, nana kohosi be sach. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace.
Giovanni, was his name. He was the child of a wealthy cloth merchant and a beautiful French woman. His father began calling him Francesco, or the Frenchman, and ultimately Francis, as a baby. Now this Francis wanted for nothing. He was spoiled, known to have ample food, ample liquor, ample relations. He left school at 14, noted already as a rebel with charm, with excellent taste in clothing. He was handsome, he was daring, he was courteous, central among the young nobles of Assisi, you understand. Now, it was around the year 1200 that Francis assumed a post in a war between Assisi and Perugia, and it was captured for ransom. He was confined to a dark underground cell for about a year as these ransom terms were negotiated. He returned to Assisi thereafter, scarred and inspired. It was while praying in the decrepit chapel of St. Damian's that he heard, "Go, Francis, repair my house, which, as you can see, is falling into ruin." Now, he accepted this as a literal inspiration. So Francis bundled a load of his father's colored drapery. He mounted his father's horse, rushed to the local market, and sold both, only to find that the priest who officiated at St. Damian's wasn't interested in the money. So afraid of his father's wrath, Francis hid in a cave. He hid in a cave for about a month before finally returning to Assisi, at which point he was emaciated and filthy, to be abused and mocked as something of a madman before being dragged home, where he was beaten and bound and locked in a closet. Now, his father wasn't content merely with the return of his gold. His father wanted to reclaim his son's inheritance as well, and Francis was happy to make that agreement. The story is told of Francis standing before the bishop, stripping himself of all of his clothes, and saying to his earthly father, "Hitherto I have called you my father on earth. Henceforth I desire to say only, our Father who art in heaven." At which point he donned a coarse wool tunic. He knotted it with a brown rope, and he left for the countryside. He had no shoes. To encourage a life of penance and love and peace. He was joined by 2 who would become 12. And in that moment, what we would call the Franciscan movement had begun. Now, these who might have been described as a band of shoeless men in dirty tunics living inside a wretched shack, sold their belongings, gave the money to the poor, and severed ties with their families. At least that is until their donkey needed shelter, at which point they might have been described as a band of shoeless men in dirty tunics living outside a wretched shack inhabited by a donkey. Now, when a papal crusade against so-called heretics left some 20,000 souls dead in a single day, Francis traveled to Rome. Understandably, it seems likely that he felt some compulsion to secure approval for his community, and that approval was granted. And so it was that Francis would preach in multiple cities in any given day, dancing, weeping, making animal sounds, playing the zither, stripping to his underwear. Consider yourselves lucky, you understand. Can you imagine me playing the zither? So celebrated did Francis become that upon his arrival in a city, the church bells would ring, and upon his departure, locals would steal the water in which he had washed his feet. It was thought to have healing properties. He even preached to animals. Now, this earned him the nickname God's Fool. A favorite story. It's often told that Francis headed for the countryside with a number of people watching to engage a wild wolf who had been terrorizing the area. And the moment they met, the wolf is said to have charged Francis, his jaws open. At which point Francis prayed and he called out to the wolf, "Brother wolf, you've done a lot of damage in these parts. You have committed great crimes. You have destroyed and slain without permission. But I desire to make peace between you and them, that you may give them safety and that they might give you forgiveness." Francis offered the wolf a deal. The people would feed the wolf. The wolf would do no harm. It's been said that upon extending one of his hands, the wolf placed his right forepaw in that hand. The wolf is thought to have died of old age, having never harmed people or animals again. By this point, Francis's 12 had grown into thousands. When his health began to decline, Francis returned home. He found himself at St. Damian's in a hut of reeds which had been created for him in the garden. And it was there that he composed what's now known as the Canticle of the Sun.
Most High, all-powerful, all-good Lord, all praise is yours. All glory honor, and blessings. To you alone, Most High, do they belong. No mortal lips are worthy to pronounce your name. We praise you, Lord, for all your creation, especially for Brother Sun, who is the day through whom you give us light. And he is beautiful and radiant with great splendor. Of you Most High, he bears your likeness. We praise you, Lord, for Sister Moon and the stars. In the heavens you have made them bright, precious, and fair. We praise you, Lord, for brothers wind and air, fair and stormy, all weather's moods, by which you cherish all that you have made. We praise you, Lord, for Sister Water, so useful, humble, precious, and pure. We praise you, Lord, for Brother Fire, through whom you light the night. He is beautiful, playful, robust, and strong. We praise you, Lord, for Sister Earth, who sustains us with her fruits, colored flowers, and herbs. We praise and bless you, Lord, and give you thanks, and serve you in all humility.
He never owned a complete Bible. Francis never became a saint, a priest. It was in that same hut of reeds that he removed his cloak for the last time, and he lay down on the earth, covered with a borrowed cloth. He was 44 years old. It was within 2 years of his passing that work began on the basilica in Assisi. Now, this is a grand double church with a palace designed to house visiting dignitaries. It's complete with stained glass windows, famous frescoes. It's an ironic tribute to a man who possessed one tunic. I have to wonder if this is what is meant when it's said that the basilica is the second death of St. Francis. Canticle of the Sun. I think it can be said that Francis had a deep mystical knowing of his unity with brother sun and sister moon and the stars and the heavens, his unity with brother wind and air and clouds and storms. He had a deep mystical knowing of his unity with sister water and brother fire and mother earth. And when I say he had a deep mystical knowing, I refer to a soul level knowing that rises well beyond that linear scientific post-enlightenment logic which we so celebrate as incarnate beings in a Western world. I refer to a soul level knowing that occurs when we immerse ourselves in nature. You have had such an experience. Or when we connect with nature's offspring. It's only the most shielded of hearts that can sit across a table with another, break bread, share stories, laugh, cry, and leave unchanged. Oneness and compassion are deeply bound, you see. It was Pope Francis who said it this way, that deep mystical knowing is that which separates religion from mere philosophy. And so it seems to me that the message of Francis's life is that we spend far too much time seeking God in the clouds and far too little time seeking God in its creation. As usual, we have it backward. It seems to me that the message of Francis's life is that when we look to our left, we behold the wonders of God. That when we look to our right, we behold the very wonders of God. That when we look before us, when we look behind us, we behold the very wonders of God. That when we look above us, when we look below, when we look from the aspen to the animal, we behold the very wonders of God. That regardless of the direction, we behold the very wonders of God. And so it is that we honor our pets today. We honor them not only as beloved companions with whom we are honored to share a portion of our earthly journeys, but as teachers in whom it's so very easy to behold that wonder of God. Teachers who so easily call us to love over hatred, to pardon over injury, to faith over doubt, to hope over despair, to light over darkness, and to joy over sadness.
Anam Kara, 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 and I see God. I look down and see my dog. Simple spelling G-O-D, same word backwards, D-O-G. They would stay with me all day. I'm the one who walks away. But both of them just wait for me and dance at my return with glee. Both love me no matter what, divine God and canine mutt. I take it hard each time I fail, but God forgives, dog wags his tail. God thought up and made the dog. Dog reflects a part of God. I've seen love from both sides now. It's everywhere. Amen. Bow wow.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. Thank you, Matthew. And thank you all who sent in beautiful pictures of your beloved animals. This part of the service that we refer to as offertory is really a time for us to intentionally stand in the flow of substance. It is a time for intentional practice. This is an intentional opportunity to know, along with your spiritual community and with every last thread of your thought, with all of your power, with all of your intention, with all of your being, that by virtue of your inability to be separate from the one substance, that you are rich abundance itself. You are life in abundance, wisdom in abundance, power in abundance, love in abundance. Indeed, all that God is, you are in abundance, richly endowed, simply by virtue of your inability to be separate. You need know it. You need only know it, and know it powerfully, and accept it with your full self. In this time of virtual community, let us join our hearts and minds together and bless our individual offerings, knowing that we are one. And then, while Matthew enfolds us with his beautiful voice, you will have time to access the text to give or online donation option that will be posted for you in the Facebook chat box. So if you would, please take your offering. If it's a check, just hold that in your cupped hands, or if it's an amount, just hold the intention in your mind, knowing that both are simply symbols of abundance. And know with me, with your community, that through the sharing of your abundance of love, of wisdom, of life, of plenty itself, you are, and thus we are, a blessing in the world. And so it is.
All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love, in sweet surrender, in sweet surrender. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love, in sweet surrender, in sweet surrender.
Always to register for an event or a happening, either just visit the website or click on the link provided. We're hosting a food-in gathering next Sunday between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Consider bringing canned goods, dry goods, shelf-stable goods to the church parking lot. You'll follow the one-way arrows. You'll pull to the front where there will be tables waiting. You will exit your vehicle, drop your gifts, re-enter your vehicle, wave and honk fervently at your friends and family, and then drive along. That's how it will work. These food items will be shared with those who are experiencing vulnerability. And that will happen on the 25th of the month, and it will be facilitated in partnership with our youth and family ministries. Don't be hungry, please. Let us support you. Spiritual Saturdays with Rabbi Ted Falcon. If you have not yet experienced the depth of wisdom that is Rabbi Ted Falcon, please avail yourself to this gift. His next streaming gathering is on the 17th of October. It begins at 11 o'clock a.m., streamed through Unity in Lynnwood's Facebook page for all active eligible members. And if you don't know what that means, chances are it's not you. You're welcome to check with the office, though. For all active eligible members, please mark your calendars for Unity in Lynnwood's annual business meeting. This will occur at about 12:30 on October 18th. It will be held virtually. Details about that are still being developed and will be forthcoming. We would love to have your presence, and of course, we are required to establish a quorum. There's some bylaw language to be updated, and we will elect 2 new trustees who will serve for 3 years beginning in January of 2021. Please note that our annual gala, There's No Place Like Home, scheduled for Saturday, October 24th, is at capacity. Please hold that event. It's wonderful leaders and its guests, be they live or virtual, in your high thoughts and deep prayers. Please take a deep breath with me. Close those outer eyes yet again. Let's close those outer eyes that might imply limitation. They might imply separation, partiality. That we might open the very spiritual eyes of us to that deep, soul-level knowing, so beautifully demonstrated by St. Francis, a knowing not of our separation, but of our unity in God. We are individualized expressions of one. We are individualized expressions of one life, individualized expressions of one wisdom, individualized expressions of one limitless sufficiency, individualized expressions of one tenacious, omnipresent harmony, ever pressing for demonstration in the world of form. We, then, said in a different language, we're here that God might be known. What an awesome privilege. And then reopening those human eyes, bringing this awareness of unity and possibility forth. Let's close our time together as we always do with sung words of blessing and farewell.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your